to the Morality Lens podcast. The views and opinions shared here are our own, rooted in biblical principles and moral conviction. This podcast is for educational and inspirational purposes only and should not be taken as legal, medical, or professional advice. Our goal is to speak truth in love and encourage thoughtful reflection. Above all, we seek to inspire open, honest, and peaceful conversations, just as Charlie Kirk did. And we ask you to carry that same spirit of respect and kindness into every setting, both private and public. Thank you for respecting this message and enjoy the podcast.
And of course, please consider liking and subscribing. How's it going again, friends, and welcome back to the Morality Lens podcast. My name is Dylan, and I am very grateful and thankful that you are here with me once again for another episode. And I'm just truly grateful that you're here with me today, diving deeper into our faith and just trying to gain knowledge and even learn about God even more, and so on and so on. Truly, I am very grateful and thankful for you. So in this week's episode, we will be jumping back to Major League Baseball with yet another controversy that happened that's kind of flying under the radar, honestly, that isn't getting a whole lot of attention. Now, some outlets have briefly touched on it, but not into like a thorough deep dive of this situation. So there's a woman by the name of Paige Combs Morgan, and she was attending a Detroit Tigers game on June 19th, which was maybe about, 2 weeks ago, something like that. She was in attendance at the Detroit Tigers game at Comerica Park, and she was essentially escorted out of the game. From my understanding, it was due to what she was wearing during that game. And what was she wearing? Well, apparently she was wearing a shirt that said "Jesus over Pride." Now, from my understanding, there are conflicting accounts as to what happened based on what Paige says and what others have also said, and what even the Detroit Tigers organization has said about the incident. So apparently Paige was seated behind home plate, wore her shirt or sweatshirt that said "Jesus over Pride," and was expressing her Christian faith and reacting to the recent controversies Major League Baseball has had over the past month with the whole Pride thing and Pride nights that various teams have done over the past month or so. Now, again, there are conflicting points of view here, 3 different ones, as a matter of fact. We have Paige's account, in which she was essentially ejected from the game because of her Jesus over Pride sweatshirt. There's fans' account that say that she was removed because her sweatshirt offended other spectators, and the Detroit Tigers statement is saying that she was ejected due to disrupting behavior. And apparently there is a video out there in which, while the Detroit Tigers staff is essentially ejecting her out of the ballpark, she has video recording of as she's being escorted out of the building, and the staff is giving her instructions to stop the video recording, and she refused to stop the video recording. So Paige essentially, because if you've ever watched a Major League Baseball game, or pretty much any baseball game, there is a camera that is capturing the pitcher from the mound, the catcher behind home plate, the batter, obviously, and the umpire. And there's a camera pretty much at every minor league baseball game, and especially every major league baseball game, if you've ever watched one on TV before. And so that camera, most of the time, you can see the first 2 or 3 rows of fans that are behind home plate, and those seats are usually season ticket holders, or they're actually and are priced very expensively. So basically, what Paige did was she walked across the front row, made sure that the camera saw her shirt, Jesus Over Pride, and that was pretty much it, from my understanding. There's other, like I said, there's other claims that are saying that she was engaging in disruptive behavior, but I think we need to define what this disruptive behavior was, other than, walking across the front row and ensuring that the camera saw what her shirt said. So, we have to really define what disruptive behavior is. Now, supposedly, the organization, the Detroit Tigers organization, supposedly warned her under and citing the fan code of conduct policy that they have, which governs actions that interfere with others' enjoyment of the game. And the policy also states that inappropriate or obscene messages can be prohibited at the stadium, but the team clarified the removal and the ejection of Paige was linked to behavior rather than what she was wearing. Now, does the organization define disruptive behavior as walking in front of the front row and showing the camera what her shirt says? Does that constitute, or what they define as disruptive behavior? That I don't know, because there's a lot of vague terms out there, and we really need to define and have a clear definition and deep explanation as what disruptive behavior is. Seeing the video that's out there, I don't think what she did was considered disruptive behavior. I mean, she walked in front of the front row and may have been in fans' way, but it's not like, from my understanding, she didn't stand there the whole 9 innings of the game. So, in an interview that Paige did, she said that she does not intend to pursue any legal action and does plan to continue expressing and sharing her message, possibly through other venues other than Comerica Park. I'm sure at Comerica Park in Detroit that they are probably keeping a close eye to see if she appears again. But she has said that she would do so possibly outside of that stadium. So now I'm going to try to break down the video as best as I can. She basically starts the video and says, okay, they're kicking me out because of my shirt. Then someone else that's not pictured in the video, presumably somebody from the Tigers organization, says, yeah, we have to ask that you leave the ballpark. Now that right there, it conflicts what the organization statement said, where she was ejected from the game because of disruptive behavior, but yet the staff says, yeah, we have to ask you to leave the public viewing area because of her shirt, according to the video. So in the interview that she gave, she said that she wasn't being obnoxious or anything, and was not disrupting anybody other than for a couple of seconds being in the way of other fans watching the game. Now, she said in the interview that she was not asked to change her shirt. It appears that the organization went for the ejection from the stadium. So then the video goes back to her own video where the staff member from the Detroit Tigers is noticing that she is recording the interaction and tells her to put her phone down, and she's not allowed to record, and she says, "I'm not putting it down and I'm not going to stop recording." And then the staff member says, "Okay, remove her from the building." And in the video, the staff is like giving her warnings to stop. They're saying, if you're going to keep recording, we're going to eject you from the game. So they warned her multiple times, and she didn't stop recording the video. I mean, I don't really understand why her recording what was going on would be that big of a deal, honestly. So let's go back to what the shirt says and what the shirt is. Paige paid for her ticket, right? And she's there just like anybody else with a jersey of their favorite player or team logo on their shirt. She's just like anyone else that is supporting their favorite player or team. Now, another fascinating aspect is, what did the fans that did complain about her shirt say? So, from my understanding, that her shirt, the Jesus Over Pride shirt, is disrespectful and offensive to them personally. And then Paige claims that, or she stated in the interview that she gave, that the staff that ejected her and the cops, that the couple of police officers that were there, looked like and treated her like that she was committing a crime for, quote, existing there. And then Paige says that their goal and the organization's goal was to intimidate Paige and essentially shame her for wearing this Jesus Over Pride shirt. And then eventually states in the interview that she should be able to wear what she wants to, not just that venue, but anywhere out in public. Whatever, shirt that she wants to wear. And even if people disagree with it, she should still be allowed to. And I totally agree with that. Okay, so one thing that I think really is fishy about the whole thing is the conflicting things between what the staff said and what the organization said afterwards. And again, to state, the staff said, as she was being ejected from the stadium, says that she was being ejected because of her shirt. The organization said afterwards that it was because she was being disruptive. So once again, we don't know what the organization means by, quote, disruptive behavior. Does the disruptive behavior mean walking in front of the front row behind home plate to get on camera to ensure what her shirt says, that the camera sees what it says? Does this disruptive behavior mean, supposedly getting in the fans' way for a few seconds and getting in that camera shot? Or does it mean something else? The organization, the Detroit Tigers, have yet to define what this is, because if we've seen any baseball game ever on TV, there's people that walk in front of that camera all the time, whether it's getting up to go to the bathroom or getting up to go get something to eat, or even first entering the ballpark a few minutes late or leaving the ballpark a few minutes early. So the conflicting reports really stink of something that's fishy. And the second thing I want to bring to light is the shirt itself and the contents of her shirt, the words of her shirt. Were people offended about something that's faith related or even Jesus' name on a shirt? Or was it that people were offended by something that conflicts with and essentially disagrees with pride? I don't know the answer to that question. But I think it's a valid question that really needs some attention because, I get that, people have different points of view and agrees and disagrees with things. I get it. Not everybody is going to agree on every little thing. But a third thing that comes to mind is the people that complained about Paige and her shirt, sweatshirt, were they rejecting Jesus during this? And again, I don't really know the answer to that question, because again, we're using vague terms here, like in the statement, people are saying that they find the sweatshirt offensive. Okay, well, which part of the shirt was offensive to those people? Was it Jesus, or was it the fact that someone wore a shirt that doesn't agree with pride? So again, I really don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if we can lump them together. I really don't. But, if I had to guess, essentially, and just put my own spin to it, and just put my personal opinion out there, again, just my personal opinion, I disclaim that right now. I do, in a way, feel like it's a rejection of Jesus. That people were offended that not just Jesus was on, like, his name was on a sweatshirt, but it's also with the part that this one person, Paige, is putting Jesus over something like pride. And in my personal opinion, it appears that the organization, the Detroit Tigers, are not being truthful with their statement. Disruptive behavior, I feel like, is a cop-out for the whole thing. But again, just my personal opinion here. And I do think that those that complained are making a active decision to essentially elevate pride over our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So if Paige, or anyone else for that matter, wants to share her message with what she has to say. I'm cool with that. I support that. Um, just as long as we do so in a respectful and kind way, um, then that's perfect with me. Um, just and please, I would advise anyone, not just Paige, but just make sure that you just remain respectful, you remain kind, and you're showing all the fruits of the Spirit, like what it says in Galatians 5 verses 22 and 23. Because if you if you do so in a very kind way, where you're very peaceful about it, then that's probably the best way to go about sharing a message like this. And again, just be kind and be respectful, and show, and I would say even show love as well, because that's also one of the fruits of the Spirit. And for anyone out there, and Paige included, keep sharing the word. Keep sharing what the word says. Keep sharing the messages within that fantastic book. And I feel like that's a great thing that people do when they do that. They share the word and teach others along the way, and bringing in new believers. I think that's just fantastic, honestly. So again, I thank you all for tuning in for another episode of the Morality Lens podcast. I'm just so thankful that you're here with me on a weekly basis, just growing in our faith together, and learning more about Jesus, and just talking about these topics. I feel like is very helpful and beneficial, and let's just keep growing together in our faith. But until then, I want to remind you that you were seen and deeply valued here, but most importantly, by God Himself, and He loves us to the without any limits. So I pray that you have a blessed day and a blessed rest of your week. God bless you all.